Well, here we go again. It's time for Pluto in Capricorn. Yes, he's retrograding back into Capricorn, 29th critical degree on Sunday, September 1st, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Lord, what does this mean? We're going to get into it. So I'm going to give you the overall astrological analysis for all the signs. I'm not going to break it out by each sign, but just in general, what you need to know about this Pluto retrograde, important dates, and how to best use the energy. So Pluto goes retrograde again in Capricorn, September 1st. He goes direct again on October 11th, and then he finally leaves Capricorn for good. This time it is for good. He's not going to retrograde back on November 19th, where he will be into Aquarius for the next 15, 18 years. That will be very interesting. But we are concerned right now with taking some time to reflect and have perspective and understand what is going on, because this has been one of the most important transits of our lifetimes. It all started, of course, in 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. So wherever you have Capricorn in your natal chart, whatever house it occupies, you have been going through massive, monumental, and sometimes totally irrevocable, baby, don't look back, it won't do no good type changes in your life. Now, I call Pluto the bulldozer of doom, initially, because he does that. He's like a big old wrecking ball. He comes in and he gets all the detritus, the junk, the stuff we don't need, the people we don't need, the toxins. He's trying to bring everything unhealthy to the surface, but that's not always pleasant, as we know. Okay, but Pluto doesn't stay in his bulldozer of doom forever. Pluto ultimately is about the phoenix rising from the ashes. Let's not forget Pluto rules Scorpio. So really the final phase of this Plutonian transit, I would say over the last year, but particularly this year, has been about the regeneration, about the renewal, about planting new seeds. Like, how are we going to rise like the phoenix after all these different changes and assimilate what went, understand why it had to go, but also regenerate, right? This is not just about like giving up. This is about regeneration, renewal, the fruits of our labors, the things we had to go through since 2008 were quite hard and difficult. So they were labors, like, think of the labors of Hercules, right? Like all the tasks we had to do, seemingly impossible, because Pluto does bring lots of deep challenges like this, whether they're spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, with relationships, with family, whatever, right? It depends on where Capricorn is in your chart. My God, laborers. All right, so we cleaned up the stuff. We did what we had to do. It was hard, but now we are tasked with perhaps, depending on your perspective, the hard task of regeneration. Because do you know what you want? If you don't know what you want and how you want to regroup, regenerate, create new things in the Capricorn area of your chart, that could be hard work to figure that out. Doesn't have to be, but what is your resistance to starting anew? Things have left. Now we're in the process of, as I said, planting new seeds, fruits of our labors. What's next for us in the Capricorn area of our chart? This is the time you gotta figure it out, in my opinion. I mean, you don't have to do anything. I don't like to tell people what to do, but I would strongly advise that during this Pluto retrograde, from September 1st to October 11th, you really figure it out. What are the regenerative seeds that you are planting for the Capricorn area of your chart? And when Pluto goes direct again at that 29th degree, you're taking action on that. I will give you some dates in a moment to be alert to in this process of reevaluation, figuring out, what's the next step for you in this regenerative growth. So here's the thing that's, kind of interesting. Every sign is divided into decans, or decans. I'm not sure how you say the word, D-E-C-A-N. And in equal parts of 3. So you always start with that exact sign, and then it's the next sign in the element, and then the next sign. So for example, Capricorn, since we're talking about Capricorn, the first decan, right, is the Capricorn decan. The second decan, the second slice of Capricorn is the Taurus decan. The third one is the Virgo. We're in Virgo season. So Pluto is retrograding at a 29th critical degree, meaning that it's a fated degree. It's a degree suggesting that you've been through the trials and tribulations of all the other degrees leading up to that ultimate moment before it goes into the next sign. What have you learned? What is your mission now with this energy, with the wisdom that you have gleaned or not have gleaned from whatever trials, tribulations, and labors you have gone through? Virgo is about discernment. Virgo is about analysis. Virgo is about details, right? So Pluto retrograding at a 29th critical degree. Critical, I always think of Virgo. Sorry, Virgos. I don't mean that personally, but 29th degree, critical, meaning important, not to be ignored, that retrograde, but also in the Virgo decan, and it's Virgo season. And also the very next day, we have a new moon in Virgo, which I will do a separate video on. Stay tuned for that. So another thing, of course, that's important about Virgo energy is that Virgo is the sign of healing, right? Nutrition, wellness. It rules the 6th house in the astrological wheel. So how is your well-being? What would support your well-being in all areas, but especially in the Capricorn area of your chart? This is also an important consideration with Pluto retrograde. Sometimes it really is the one tiny little thing, the one tiny little detail that makes all the difference. It can be the spark that sets you on a whole new path or trajectory in your life. A date to watch, I'm going to give 2 dates because of the time overlap, is September 25th and 26th. When Mercury, that rules Virgo, and which has also been retrograde, finally out of retrograde, the day I'm filming this, Mercury on September 25th, 26th will be at the 29th degree of Virgo. Critical degree. Trining, which is a supportive trine, supportive energy is flowing in a trine, a supportive aspect to the Pluto retrograde. So what's interesting about Capricorn energy is that it is about building structures. It is about achievements, climbing the ladder of success, and wherever it falls in your chart, right? I mean, you could want to have success if it's your 4th house in your family or a successful home. It doesn't matter. It's just, these are general kind of energy vibes of the Capricorn. Capricorn is very loyal, very stoic. Capricorn ruled by Saturn often goes through a lot of trials and tribulations, right? So Pluto has been really emphasizing, I think, exacerbating, highlighting also the Saturnine aspect of Capricorn with the labors, right? The intensification of trials, tribulations, working through things. But now that we're in the phase of regeneration with this final hurrah, as I would like to say, this last bit of Pluto in Capricorn, as I was saying before, fruits of your labors. Virgo is also a sign of harvest. So what harvest have you gleaned? Cast your mind back. Mercury trining this Pluto, Mercury and Virgo trining Pluto, September 25th, 26th. Cast your mind back. What riches and harvest of wisdom, insights, experiences have you gleaned? Where are the finer details that will help you build, that is Capricorn, build new structures in your life that will stand the test of time? Why will they stand the test of time? Because you cleaned out or you should have cleaned out with Pluto since 2008 in Capricorn. You've cleaned out the rotting, the toxic, etc., foundations, etc. You've gotten rid of the stuff that shouldn't have been there. It was past its sell-by date. It was time to go. So you can, put your mind, Mercury Virgo, to the details of building this strong foundation and regenerating, right? And having that sense of perspective. And because both Mercury in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn are at that 29th degree, it is about understanding that perspective, everything that came before you, that brought you to this moment. What will you do with that information? And then, of course, Pluto will go direct October 11th. But we have another kind of hot zone period, which is the full moon in Aries on October 17th. I will, of course, do a separate video for the channel on that full moon, but I want you to have it on your radar right now because it kind of has a push comes to shove type energy for me. In my notes, I always write down all the different transits. This is what I do. And what I wrote down was sowing the seeds of love, that old Tears for Fears song. The full moon in Aries is at 24 degrees. It's in a wide square to Pluto, now going direct in Capricorn. Mars is at 22 Cancer, opposite Pluto in Capricorn. Mars rules the full moon in Aries. So we have a little bit of tension. I'm trying not to be too traumatic, but we have some heightened energy, attention, right, to pay attention to at that full moon in Aries. Aries is already hot-headed energy. I think Chiron may also be conjunct that full moon. I didn't write that down, but it's very close. But it doesn't have to be hot-headed. It doesn't have to be doom, gloom, destruction, traumatic. It really can be sowing the seeds, finally, of some heartfelt new beginning in our lives. Venus, at that time, will be sextile Pluto, a favorable alignment. She will be in Scorpio, her ruling energy, her ruling sign. So, there is support. There is support in love, and money matters. But the thing with Aries, and the fact that we've had the North Node in Aries also for the last bit, that may feel like birthing pains as you finally, with the full moon illumination, step into taking action, Mars in Cancer, on sensitive, heartfelt, important things in your life now that you have regenerated, made the plan, figured it out. Mars will also be in a wide trine to that Venus in Scorpio as well. So that is supportive. But there is pressure at that full moon to take action. Aries is an action sign, right? It's not about just sitting around and, watching the clouds float by. No, it's and with Pluto opposite Mars, there's a lot of tense energy, but it needs proper direction. This is the thing. If you have not done your homework during the Pluto retrograde from September 1st to October 11th, when that full moon in Aries pops in October 15th, you don't want to be all over the place because you don't know where you're going, what you're doing, what's the plan. Capricorn, it's all about the plan moving forward. You want to take strategic, targeted, focused energy. Okay. And with Mars in Cancer, it may have things to do with home and family. Very possible. Mars in Cancer, the fourth house in the astrological wheel. So that's very possible. But I feel it's about fresh starts for you. It's about this seed plantings. It's about the harvest too. I mean, it's a harvest moon in October. So it's about the harvest, the karma that has been going on since 2008, wrapping up karmic contracts, understanding and seeing where all that comes from, but also really seeing where that new beginning has to be enacted upon, because you don't want to repeat karmic cycles. You want to have things as best you can in the Capricorn area of your chart figured out so that you can move freely. That's Aries. Move very freely but strategically and sensitively because of that Mars in Cancer. Mars opposite Pluto, opposition is energy that tugs at one another. It's a wide opposition, but still, okay? You don't want to have an internal power struggle going on, or even a power struggle going on with someone else, because again, you didn't do your homework and figured out what is my strategic plan moving forward now that Pluto is direct, wrapping up his long journey since 2008. Really have your plan, take your action, know what you're doing so that you can stand firm in your new beginning and this regeneration and renewal that you are creating in your life. You are the architect of your destiny. Capricorn is very much about architecture and structure. You are the architect of your destiny. You can have lots of success, continued success in this Capricorn area of your chart, a renewal, a rebirth. It's all happening, but have the strategy and plan. So nobody can come along and try to, elbow you out of what's rightfully yours, or try to manipulate you, or guilt trip you, or, some other type of power struggle, whether overt or covert. Have your sense of purposeful alignment by that Aries full moon, middle of October. And the seeds of love that you're sowing are for yourself and your potential, your renewed potential in the Capricorn area of your chart. Let's not forget, Aries is about the self. We have a new moon in Scorpio, November 1st. We have Mercury sextiling a favorable alignment to Pluto, Mercury in Scorpio on November 2nd. But then we have another power struggle energy. Mars going into Leo opposite Pluto and Capricorn on November 3rd. So now we're switching from cardinal to more fixed signs, stubborn, determined. I'll say determined rather than stubborn. I have a lot of fixed in my chart, and I am very stubborn. But we will call it determined. Determined energy that is happening. Leo is about sovereignty, rulership, ruling your world. Mars in Leo, very loyal, very dramatic, very headstrong, theatrical, but also very determined. Mars opposite now, Pluto going direct, still in Capricorn, hovering before it goes into Aquarius again. Okay, so again, making a solid plan, enacting a plan where you are ruling your world. You are making your decisions in this Capricorn area of your chart. You've done the discernment, the homework, like I've said before. You have claimed your new renewed path. You are thinking of number one. It's not bad to think of number one. This North Node in Aries for the last year and a half has been teaching us that, right? That you got to think of number one. You got to take care of yourself, right? So again, the plan that you have cooked up, that you're taking action on, ruling your world, being sovereign, how's it going? What's happening? Mars opposite Pluto, not getting into any power struggles or craziness. So I feel like these two Mars-Pluto oppositions that we are dealing with in the last throes of Pluto in Capricorn really have a lot to do with a little bit of a last test from the universe. You know how that is sometimes, right? Like you think you understood something spiritually, like you got it, you're never going to do that again, blah, 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 like you're resolved. And then the universe brings in one last little something to make sure you got it. That's what I feel. I don't feel like this Mars opposite Pluto, while it can be, and yes, it can be a little explosive, the nature of the transit, yes, it can be. It can also be incredibly powerful if you use Mars the proper way. Mars, as I always say, has that arrow of desire, right? That's the glyph. He has the circle with the arrow. Make sure the arrow of desire is pointed firmly at a goal, an achievable goal, the targets you want to achieve next, your plan, that your actions are aligned. Mars is about how we take action, that your actions are aligned, for your highest good and also for those around you, but we're of course being sovereign and thinking of ourselves first. And then what's good for us will trickle down and be good for others, right? Okay, so yes, it can be intense. There may be a few final last little tests from the universe. But then we have the full moon in Taurus, November 15th, conjunct Uranus, retrograde, in a supportive trine to Pluto in Capricorn, moving forward. And I wrote in my notes, surprise, fruits of your labors. Like, you've passed the test with these two Mars-Pluto oppositions, and now there could be a very interesting surprise. Uranus surprises, right? Conjunct the full moon in Taurus, trining Pluto. Trine is flowing energy that shows you how far you've come, a surprise bonus, a reward, a gift from the universe that shows you that all of this since 2008 was not in vain. It may have been hurtful, it may have been challenging, traumatic, dramatic, all the things. But ultimately, it has led you to this destination right now, this moment in time, where you may be very surprised at what the universe delivers for you if you have done the work, especially the internal work of reflection, growth, etc. There was a lot of external work too, as we navigated, the bulldozer of doom and, the excavation of our lives. And then 4 days later, after that full moon in Taurus, Pluto goes into Aquarius. And that's a whole nother story. So be alert to these various time frames. I hope that my suggestions will be helpful for you as you reflect upon your long journey with Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. I will, of course, be doing videos on the new moon in Virgo, full moon in Aries, full moon in Pisces, lunar eclipse, all the things coming up. We will still have those videos. But I just really wanted to give you a bird's eye view, a broader overview of what is going on, my perspective on this Pluto retrograde for the final time. Every sacrifice, everything that we have been through, I do believe from the bottom of my heart that there will be fruits of your labors, your very difficult labors, and things will start coming together for you again in the Capricorn area of your chart. Love you guys. Take care. I will see you again soon. Stella Wilde, signing out.